Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm doing 10 cards, 1 kit using the C&CT stamp March 2018 card kit. And this is called the Choose Joy card kit. And it did sell out, so this video is more for inspiration. Give you some ideas on how to create with this kit, or even using your own stash. You could create some similar cards. I think C&CT stamp sells the stamp sets in this kit individually, so you could check that out if you'd like to. Okay, I already jumped in, and this is basically an overview of what came in the kit. These are your pattern papers. These are from Cartabella. This is the Spring Market collection. Beautiful spring water buckets and gardening tools. Just real fun elements in these paper pads. They're double-sided, and you get 12 of them. You can see the cardstock in the back. I'm going to later on trim those down and create my card bases with those. Now, along with those, you also get 3 of the C&CT stamp cream colored, basically pre-made card bases. There's a score line on them, and so all you have to do is fold it and then create card bases with those. So you get 3 of those. Now you get 3 envelopes. This is a real neat one. It has a real pretty wood grain effect, and then you get a cotton candy and a lavender, kind of a pearl sheen envelope. So those are always nice. Then you also get your 2 of your sticker sheets. You get some bunny tail pom-poms and then 2 stamp sets. These are 2 4x6 stamp sets that come in the kit. This is the Choose Joy, and then this one here is the Flowers and Showers, or Showers and Flowers stamp set. So a lot of goodies in this kit. You get your sucker, and then you get 2 little C&CT stamp hybrid ink cubes. This one here is cotton candy. Oh no, hollyhock, I'm sorry. And this one is wisteria. So bright colors. You get a bright pink and then a real pretty bright purple. In this kit you also get a Tonic Studio glitter gloss aqua shimmer pen. Now, I've never used this before, so this was fun for me. Usually I like my Wink of Stella, but I've tried the Spectrum Noir sparkle pen, and it's lovely. And this is right there with them. Gives a lot of sparkle, concentrated glitter effect to anything you add it to, but real pretty. So you get that pen. Now that's everything that came in the March kit, so we're going to push everything aside and jump in with our first card. Now for card number 1, I'm going to use this pattern paper, and I really liked the wood background it has, and I like the little flowers on the bottom. So I'm taking a stitched rectangle die. It's just going to be a little bit smaller than my card base, and I'm going to cut out my panel. But you can see I didn't go all the way down to the bottom of the panel with my die. I'm going to add a piece of the black and white gingham on this pattern paper that has the cutout strips. So that's why I didn't go all the way down to the bottom. Now for the sentiment for this card, I decided to use a strip on this pattern paper here. It's actually really pretty. It says the smallest step in the right direction can turn out to be the biggest step of your life. And I thought that was so sweet. So I just cut that out. Now I'm going to adhere the gingham pattern to the very bottom of this panel. I'm going to trim off the excess. Lovely. Now I'm going to take a circle die from my stash, and I'm going to cut out a window. Well, I just didn't do that yet, did I? I wanted to keep the theme of that pattern paper going. So I cut out that top part. It was like a little valance for a window. I just fussy cut that out and trimmed it down for that panel, for it to fit on that panel. And then here's where I took my circle die. I'm going to cut out a window. I'm going to add some foam tape behind this piece here, and then this is going to go directly on my card base. I'm going to use the green, or the leaf green card base. Place that in the center. And then I did pop up my little valance with some foam tape. I'm going to remove the backing and place that on the very top part. Hindsight, I probably would have went a little bit wider with this. I'm just going to fix it because I did get it crooked, but I think it still turned out really nice. Now I added the sentiment. I just cut it in two and placed that on the bottom of that panel there. And then I grabbed two of the stickers. These are the garden tools. And I'm just going to arrange them to the left of my circle window there. The first one I didn't add any foam tape, so I'm just going to use the sticky back of the sticker. And then my little shovel, I'm going to add foam tape too. I'm just going to kind of tuck them inside there. Now I'm taking some white jute cord from my stash. I just tied a bow with it and added it to the bottom of my garden tools with a glue dot. And then I'm going to go around the inside of my window with my white gel pen. And then for shimmer, or for a little bit of shimmer, I added some of the Nouveau shimmer pen. And that's it for that card. Okay, for card number 2, we're going to make a rainy day card. So I'm using the Showers and Flower stamp set. I'm going to take this cute little chickie with the umbrella. I'm just going to stamp him with my Memento Tuxedo Black ink on a panel. Now this panel is 3.5 inches by 4 3/4. I stamped him toward the bottom. Now to save time, I colored him in with my Copic markers. So there we have it. There's my cute little chickie. I wanted to go with some bright colors. Now I cut out the same size panel, and then in my stash I have this cloud die. It's a cloud border die. I'm going to cut out a cloud background for the very top part of my panel here. I actually cut out 2. I flipped over the first panel that I cut out and then used the bottom portion to cut out my second panel. Now to give this a little bit of color, I'm going to go in with some of my oxide inks. This one is Broken China. I'm just going to add a little bit of color to the very bottom of this little cloud scene. Once we have that done, we're going to stamp our sentiment. Now the sentiment for this card is so cute. It says, "You make the rainy day brighter." I'm just going to stamp it with my VersaFine ink on the very top. That's going to be my top layer of my clouds. I'm going to pop that up, place that there. But before we do that, I'm going to go in with some, what is this? Fossilized amber. I'm just I want to figure out where I want to color. I just want a little bit of the yellow peeking out from behind the clouds. So I'm basically using the negative part of my cloud die cut scratch sheet, I guess you could say, and I used it kind of like a stencil. And then I'm kind of spreading that color out really lightly, just because I wanted a little bit of the yellow showing through behind the clouds. Okay, here's where I popped everything up. And then once we have that done, I am going to pop up this panel. Now this panel is going to go on the Nina Desert Storm card base. And then, since it's the rainy day little scene, I'm going to add some glossy accents to my little puddle underneath my little chickie. Love this effect. And then I'm going to create some little raindrops coming down. Now how I do this is I just take the glossy accents and I create a dot with it, and then I take the tip of the glossy accents and kind of pull it up, and it creates a real pretty tear shape that looks just like a raindrop. So I'm going to add some raindrops all over my card. And that is it. That's my little rainy day card. Cute. Love that little duck, or I keep wanting to call it a ducky, but it's a chickie. Okay, here's a close-up. Now, you can see my screen elongated. I don't know why it does this. I'm so sorry. I'm a work in progress, so bear with me. This is the only one that it did it to. But I'm going to stamp the little bunny this time. And I'm using my Memento ink. And then I did color him in with touches of grays. And then I colored in his ears and his nose with my pink Copic markers. I did fussy cut him out. And then I did add a bunny tail to him. I just used my multimedia mat to add the bunny tail. Now, next we're going to go in with some more oxide inks. This one is peeled paint. And this is just the leftover piece of the paper that I used to stamp my little bunny there. and I wanted to create a little circle background, so I added some color behind there. Now it looks kind of like a hot mess right now, but the bunny covers most of that concentrated color in the center, so it won't look as bad as when the card's finished. Now I stamp the sentiment that says thanks, and then I'm also going to stamp the little sentiment that says you make me happy. I'm going to stamp that on the circle there. Okay, I have a banner die that I'm going to cut out the word thanks. And then I did cut out a panel using the green and white gingham pattern paper. Put that, pop that up, place that on my green apple card base. Then I added my thanks in my little circle. Now we're going to pop up the bunny and add him in the center of the circle. Just going to place him right there. Now, for bells and whistles, I decided to use 2 different sizes of my clear droplets. These are really neat. They're from Pretty Pink Posh, and they're just clear droplets. They're really soft, and I added a few here and there. And then that completes card number 3. So cute. Okay, now we're going to move along to card number 4. Now this pattern paper was just gorgeous. I loved it. I loved the little the wood background, and then the flowers were just so pretty. So I cut out my panel. This panel is 3.5 inches by 4 3/4. Now we're going to add something to the bottom right of that panel. So I decided to cut out one of these little tags. I wanted one with the pink flower, so I'm just going to trim it out. Now to give it a little bit of detail, I decided to go in with an eyelet. So I'm just using my crocodile to punch a hole, and then I'm using one of my eyelets for my stash, and then we're just going to adjust my crocodile. It was on the larger side. We're going to smush down and create a fun little tag. Now to thread this tag, I decided to go in with some black and white baker's twine. And we're just going to thread it through. And then I was going to add some foam tape and then changed my mind. I thought, no, we'll just not do that. Now I'm going to grab some stickers. There is some little rain boots with a little flower in it. And it's the one on the cream sticker sheet. And then I also added the little smile sticker and placed that in the very bottom. Just kind of arranging them. Now, I think the black and white baker's twine kind of threw everything off, so I decided to go and add a mat behind this panel with black cardstock, and boy, it really made those flowers in that panel pop. I really liked the effect of that. I added foam tape behind there and placed that on the cream card base. This is the side folding one that came in the kit, so I just added that right in the center. Now I thought it needed a little bit more. That black was just throwing everything off for me. So there's this little circle sticker in the cream colored stamps or sticker sheet, and I added one more sticker to the very bottom. I'm going to go over all of my flowers with the shimmer pen here, and that completes that card. Now for card number 5, I want to do something a little bit different, so I took these 2 pattern papers, and I'm going to take this rectangle die and I'm going to run that through my Big Shot, both of them together. I want stitch edging along both of my panels. Now once we have that done, I had an oval die. I cut out a half circle in the pattern paper here, and I think that looks neat. I'm going to add some foam tape behind the floral pattern paper here, and then I'm going to place that on top of the wood grain pattern paper. Okay, now we're going to add some stickers. So sticker, I like the little flowering can. We'll use that one, but we need a sentiment. So I'm taking a strip of this cutout here. Now this one is very pretty. It says, planting a seed is believing in tomorrow. And I thought that would look really nice on that panel. Now, I knew I wanted to use that vase there, but the sentiment was too long and I didn't want it to have to chop it down. So what I decided to do, well, I'm going to grab my anti-static powder tool and remove the tackiness off the sticker. And I have a hole in my anti-static powder tool, and it leaves a little bit of a mess. But works great for taking off the tackiness of stickers. Now I'm going to take my craft knife and just cut out basically a little slit right next to my watering can. That way I can tuck the sentiment in. And basically what I did was just cover up that flower behind it. I'm going to use my tape runner, and this is going to go on my cream colored card base. And I did pop up my flowering can with some dimensional adhesive. And then I'm going to add a little bit of shimmer with the Nuvo shimmer pen here. And then for a little bit more, I decided to go in with some honey gold Nuvo glitter drops in the center of my flowers. And that completes that card. Here's a close-up. Okay, now moving along to card number 6. I love these tags. These tags were just so pretty. So I cut out 7 of them. And then on the reverse side was some black and white typing. I decided to take what was left over and place that in the center of my card base. This is the Nina Desert Storm card base. Once we have that there, I'm going to trim off the excess on top. Lovely. Okay, now I'm going to kind of arrange all of my little tags kind of wonky to the left side of that type print panel. Now what I ended up doing was taking one and adhering it, and then taking the one next to it, and I ended up popping it up with foam tape just for a little dimension. Now I was going to use one of the circle sentiments in the sticker set, but decided to go ahead and use this one instead. This one says, if I had a flower for every time I thought of you, I could walk in my garden forever. And I think that looks so pretty with those tags. I placed that in the bottom. And then just for a little bit more, I have some natural colored jute cord that kind of coordinates with the craft cardstock there. I doubled it up and tied a bow, and I placed that right next to the sentiment there. And that completes that card. Very pretty. Okay, and for close-up, guys, if you want to see more detail, check out my blog or Instagram. The pictures are a lot nicer. Okay, now for our next card. This is card number 7. I decided to use this real pretty floral or flower and the leaves that were in the Choose Joy stamp set. Now I'm using my VersaFine ink because later on I am going to go over it with some black embossing powder. But I'm just stamping the leaves 3 times, both of them, and then I'm going to stamp the flower 3 times. Well, 4 times. I think I got that one flower really close, and I wanted to leave a white outline on this flower, so I stamped it one more time. This is C&CT stamp, Fine Detail White, or obviously not white, Fine Detail Black embossing powder. And so I just went ahead and melted that. Now I'm going to color in these flowers with the ink cubes that came in the kit, but I added my 2 more of my own. These the ones that I added were key lime and watermelon, and those were from a previous Simon kit. I think it came out last year around this time. But I'm just coloring my flowers using my water brush and my leaves with the key lime there, and then I'm going to fussy cut everything out. There they are. Okay, now I wanted to use the gingham stamp. And I thought this was so fun. But I don't trust, because I don't get things very straight. So I thought I better try it on a piece of scratch paper. So I'm going to go in with my VersaFine ink. This is the Onyx Black ink. And I'm going to kind of do a sample one here to see how easy it is to line up. And it's pretty easy, but it's pretty easy to get crooked too. So like you can see on that last one, I didn't line it up too well. So I'm going to be a little bit more careful on my panel. Now this panel is 3.5 inches by 4 3/4. And I'm going to just ink it up and stamp it. And then I'm going to do it one more time right next to it. And the second time was a charm. It stamped beautifully. And I think this gingham stamp was so fun. This is going to be so fun to play with. But I think that looks very neat, and I like the black and white also. Now, also in the stamp set, there's a border stamp, and so I'm going to stamp that with the Onyx black ink. And this is so funny. I added it to my glass mat, and that was so hard to get up. So if you have a glass mat, or don't put your stamps on it, because it was like cement trying to get that up. Okay, I'm going to add some foam tape behind there. I did trim it down. And then I'm going to place that on my panel. Now, hindsight, I would stamp my sentiment first, but that's okay. Now I'm going to grab the sentiment. This one I chose Forever Friend. Now I was going to use the Simon ink cube, the Hollyhock, but I wasn't sure on if I liked the color or not, so I decided to stamp it on a piece of scratch paper. Sometimes I do this. I stamp my color on the scratch paper and then place it on my panel, kind of for placement purposes and also for color. And I didn't like the pink, so I decided just to use the VersaFine Onyx black ink to stamp the sentiment. Okay, that's stamped beautifully. Now I'm going to pop up my flowers with some dimensional adhesive, and I'm just going to arrange them right next to my sentiment. I'm kind of tucking them along with the leaves underneath the flowers in a little cluster. And I think that looks fun. I did go over my flowers with my Nouveau shimmer pen. And then these are Nouveau jewel drops. They're called, what is it? Carnation Pink. I added a few drops here and there. And that completes that card. Okay, now for card number 8, I decided to go in with a little rain boot. Now this rain boot was in the Choose Joy stamp set. It's the smaller one. And I decided to stamp it with my VersaFine ink. I am going to go over it with some Nouveau crystal clear embossing powder. Now I'm going to color in this little boot the same way that I did my flowers earlier, just using the ink cubes, and then I did throw in a couple ink cubes that I had. The ones that I added were key lime and lemon zest. And then I added some sparkle with the shimmer pen. Fussy cut those out, and then now we're going to work on our background. Now I have a panel, and then I created a mask for my panel that has a circle cut out in the center. I'm going to place that right in the center, just kind of making sure everything's flat. Okay, now we're going to do some stamping. In the stamp set, the Choose Joy stamp set, there's this little green leaf flourish. I'm going to use my anti-static powder tool, go over that circle, and then I'm going to go in with my Versamark ink, and I'm going to stamp this little flourish all around that circle area. And then I went in and added some clear embossing powder and then melted it. Now to color in that background, I decided to go in with some oxide ink. This is Wild Honey, and I'm just taking a cloth and wiping off that oxide ink from my little flourishes. I'm going to remove my mask, and it's going to create a real pretty background. I really like that effect. Okay, now for my sentiment, I'm going to grab my mini Misty here, and I chose the sentiment that says, "You bring sunshine to a gloomy day." I thought that was so cute. I'm going to ink that up with my Versamark ink, and then I'm going to add some Simon Says stamp, fine detail white embossing powder, and I'm going to go ahead and melt it and trim it down. And that's going to be our sentiment. Now we're going to grab all of our little elements here. Now I decided to fishtail the right side of my sentiment. And then I'm going to add a strip of foam tape behind there. And that's going to go on the very bottom part of my circle. I'm going to stick that down there, and then you can see I just have problems getting things straight, boy. Okay, once that's straight, I'm going to trim off what's ever left over, and then I'm going to pop up my little rain boot right above my sentiment. And then I am going to add some foam tape behind this panel. And then I'm going to add a few of my little clear sequins and place that on the green apple card base, and that completes that card. Okay, card number 9 is a super duper easy card. I'm going to take the leftover pattern paper from here, and I'm going to glue that to the green pattern paper. Well, actually it's not, it's a solid green paper. And then I cut out a strip with the mason jars that had the little flowers in it. I'm going to add that to the very top part, kind of creating a little scene here. And then I'm going to take one of my dies that I have in my stash, and I'm going to cut out my panel. Once we have that done, I ran everything through at the same time. It's just easier for me. Now I doubled up on some cream colored natural jute cord. I wrapped it around the very bottom part where the mason jars were, and then I just trim off the tails of my little twine. I'm going to add some foam tape behind here, and then this is going to go on the cream card base. Place it right in the center, and then the sticker that I was going to use for the earlier card, I had put dimensional adhesive on it already, but it lost its tackiness, so I'm just going to add a little bit of tape to it. And actually the cream color stickers work really well with the cream color card base. They match beautifully, but I just stuck it towards the top of my panel, and that completes that card. Super easy, but so very pretty. Okay, now for my final card, I'm going to cut out 2 panels. Now the panel I'm going to use with the wood, I'm making sure that my rectangle die is right in the center, is 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. And then this rectangle die here that I'm going to cut out the floral pattern is 4 1/8 by 3. So it's going to fit right in the middle of the wood grain paper. Now I wanted to use a sticker, so I chose the sticker that says Home Sweet Home. I'm going to add some foam tape behind there. And then I'm going to take some flowers that are on the sticker sheet. I'm going to use the flowers that are in the white sticker sheet. And I'm going to place them behind the Home Sweet Home, just kind of tucking them. And then that one's going to go directly on that floral paper behind. And I'm thinking that's going to look really pretty. I'm going to add one more flower. There's a real pale pink one, so I'm going to add that. Just kind of arranging my little scene. Now, I did add foam tape behind all of my stickers there, but it was still a little bit sticky, so I'm going to go in with my messy anti-static powder tool. And then I'm going to remove the backing off of my foam tape there and place that right in the center. I added foam tape behind the floral pattern paper and placed that on that panel. And then for this card I was going to use the green, but I decided there was lots of options in this kit, so I decided to use the white card base. I'm just going to add some foam tape behind this panel and place it right in the center. And then for bells and whistles, I decided to go in over those flowers with my glossy accents. And then that's it. That completes card number 10. Here's a close-up. Now here's a look at all 10 cards that I made using the C&CT stamp March 2018 card kit. This kit had a lot of versatilities. There was cutesy and fun and Easter and spring and garden, and I had so much fun, and there's so much product left over. I mean, I could easily make 10 more cards. But I hope you like my cards, and this gives you some ideas and inspiration on how to use the kit. I try to give some different ideas just for you guys for inspiration, I guess. Thank you so much for stopping by. I wish you a fantastic weekend, and we will see you again soon. If you like this tutorial, give me a thumbs up, and if you're new and want to see more, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Have a fantastic day, guys. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.